Okay, well, we've been having a lot of questions today and yesterday, maybe the last few days, about how do you, I'll take us over to the internet. How do you do these kind of designs that are custom, maybe have somebody's name and dates in them? There's mostly these kinds of designs have been done using sometimes laser cutters, sometimes with hand cutting. But you see over here how they've added certain names in there. So I thought I would address that. You can make these designs using any kind of what we call paper lace background, and then customize them to add names in like these here. So I thought I would just take something I've been playing with. This was one of the ones that somebody was asking about today. How do you do these kinds of things? Well, I'm not going to show how to make the backgrounds today, but I want to show you how to customize them. So what I did to customize this was I added the name of our grandbaby whose scrapbook album I'm working on here. So I added some text, his name and his birth date. And you could do the same with any paper lace design, whether it be a heart shape or a wreath shape or a square shape, rectangle. So since I just did a video on how to make this heart, I thought I'd show you how to use that heart to make a custom overlay with custom names. So the first thing I'm going to do is open the I want to open the heart if I can figure out where it is. Okay, here it is. Okay, so I have a lattice heart here that I made, and I enlarged it to pretty much fill the screen. So let's say this is the background that I've chosen that I want to customize with some names. Again, it can be any shape. You can make it as wide as your cutting mat allows. I can cut even bigger on my zing, but I'll leave it this size. The next thing I do is decide what kind of shapes do I want to put on this background. Well, if you go into the gallery, make the cut gallery, and you type in banners and search for that, you get a few pages of banners, and I think on the third page descending, maybe it was the second, there's a whole collection of banners that have 2 layers which work perfectly for my purposes. I click on download and I get these banners. So you can select banners that'll work for you. I thought this one would work nice. Well, the first thing is they're all kind of joined. I'm going to select all. There's an arrow here at the lower left corner to select them all, and I'm going to break them all so that they're all in parts so I can select just the ones I want. Let's see, I like this one and maybe this one. Oh, and maybe this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select those 3 and copy, edit, copy, or just Control plus C. I'm going to go back to my lattice heart, and I'm going to paste in place, edit, paste in place, or Control Shift V, move them over here, and send them to their own layer by clicking on the smaller of the 2 green plus icons at the bottom of the screen. Now these will need to be resized for my purposes, and what I want to do is put text in these so I can get an idea of how these might fit on my current design. resizing them all together, but then I can resize them individually to suit, again, to suit my purposes. So I want a name there, maybe, and another one. Now this one can actually be bigger. So you can just stretch it out using the corners, and I want them centered. This middle section is the part that I'm really going to see that has the name, so I want to place those on here to where those are pleasing. So what I'm going to do is select that center part, hold the Shift key, and send those to their own layer, and maybe change the color to a real light color so I can kind of see the balance of what they're going to look like. And make sure they're lined up the way that I want, because the outer design is not really the center that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the kind of the lighter pink design. Once you get it the way you want it, then you can select the background images, the background pieces. I'm just going to click while holding Shift to select those pieces. Well, I already did the top pieces, so I can just select all of these. And if I like how they're positioned, I can just join them here. You see how they kind of make an outline there, which is nice. Or I can separate them depending on the look that I want, not joined. In order to weld these, I'm going to send this lace design to the top so I don't change the color too much. And hide that for a second. Now I'm going to select just the outside lines here, holding the Shift key, and now have the also holding the Shift and clicking on this, and now I'm going to weld it all together. Let's see what it does. Okay, so that gave me the background pieces here that I need, and I'm going to right click and move that layer to the bottom. And now I want to see what this is going to look like with these pieces. I need to retain a copy of these because those are the places where I'm going to put the names. So I'm going to hold Control Shift and drag and move this aside. Now I'm going to select all of this and again move this up to the top and just select Join. Now you see by joining all these together I've got openings here which are very nice, and they're ready for me to add custom names. I forgot to save these little places, so I'm going to do a Control Z to undo that and select those top pieces, Control Shift, and well, gotta hide that top piece. I need to select these two and Control Shift drag because I need to have those pieces also. Now I'll open this up and now I'll join. They'll take the color of the top layer, that's why I keep moving them around. So now I have an overlay. I call this an overlay. You can use any shape that you want. You can use any shapes for the names, but ultimately this is where you'll put the names. So I'll just change all of these, and these should fit perfectly in these little slots because we got them from there. Now what I want to do is add some names. I'll show you on this big one here. I'll go to text and font. So I'm just using Cooper Black because it has a nice rounded thick shape. You can use any font that you like, but I would recommend you not use anything too skinny. And I'm going to type in here Aaron's name because his is the scrapbook I'm working on right now, and accept. So I have these lettering, and I want them to fit in here. Well, it's a little bit too big, so I get the selection arrows and I'll just resize it a little, drag it down so that it's not too tall. I can make it shorter. I basically am looking at the middle letter, that R. I want to make sure that it's not too tall for the piece that I want it to go on. And then I'm going to use wrap object or wrap text to path. To do that, I'm holding the control key down and dragging until my letters, till my cursor changes into the square, circle, and triangle, and I release. Now it went a little bit kind of crazy, but don't worry, not to worry. You can change the position of those letters by moving the offset, and where we want, what we want to do is make that so that the letters move back to the beginning. Now that'll work here. They're kind of in the middle. I'm going to click on this and just tap my right arrow a little bit until the letters are a little more centered on that piece. In fact, then I'm going to click on the spacing here to space the letters further apart. And what they're doing is they're following that bottom line of the shape, which is okay. I can follow either the top or the bottom line, and I'm just giving these letters a little more space here. And when I'm pretty close, see it's tilted some of these. I could do it by hand, but it's nice to have that work done for you. So I'm going to accept that. I don't want to weld them, but I do. Oh, I could have adjusted the height so that they would have just moved right in here. I forgot to do that. So these letters are a little bit close, but I'll use my arrow key just to move them over a little bit, and you can adjust individual letters if you would like. But that gives me something to work with. The next thing I want to do is hide the banners, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit to make these letters to be stencils so that they'll drop out. I'm going to move this just a hair and rotate it just a little bit. Now, to make a stencil, I'm going to click on this figure 8 in the upper left corner and click on the eraser. I have it set to 1 millimeter, and I think that's okay for this size. What I need to do is just make a path between this inside shape and the outside so that the inside won't fall out. So I'm going to hold the control key to make a straight line and let go. So I'll do that on each of these letters here that have a hole in them. I'll do this one at an angle because the hole's at an angle. Now that I have that done, I can go ahead and I'll move the name down so it's below the tag, select both, and join, and you'll see that now I have a tag with his name in it. So let's move over and see how this fits on my design. Well, not bad, but what I notice is that I need some background to provide a contrast. So I'm going to do a shadow. I'm just going to select this piece, the outside piece here, click on my shadow layer, and give it a shadow of about 0.15, and it's blacked out. And now I'll give it a color red. Now you see the name through the banner as red, and that's kind of the look that I want. So I have a background piece, I have my lace piece, and now I have a name. Now the name can be somebody else's name the next time I use this. And up here I can put any text that I'd like to put. I could put a date in here. See, I'll show you the date with this shape so you can see the process one more time. I'll zoom in a little closer. Again, I'm creating a stencil just using the eraser and make the cut. So I'm going to put his birthday in here. So I'm going to click the T, and he was born on 6/11/14. So I'll accept that. And again, I'm going to resize this using the straight arrows. You toggle between the curve. There's 3 different options there, and I'm going to get it about as long as I need it to be and about as wide as it needs to be. I can right click and send this to the top, move layer to the top. I want it to be high enough for these letters to fit in there. It looks about right. So I'm going to hold the Control key and drag my selection till the cursor changes. You see a square, circle, and triangle. And again, I'll change the offset and start moving it until the letters are pretty much in the order they need to be. And I might have to move the spacing down. It's usually not this much trouble. We'll go back to the start again. As soon as that 14 gets all the way over to the right, we're getting close. There we are. Now I'm going to change the vertical alignment so that it moves those letters up. And we can tap with our arrow keys. I'll tap with the left arrow keys until they're pretty much there. And then I can change the spacing a little bit if I need to give a little more space between those characters along the curve. So you see that these are curving pretty well. So I'll just accept that. And I don't want to weld. So the only change I'll make here is just with these 2 characters so that the 1 and the 4 are not quite so close and not so close to the edge there. I can select all and just kind of tap over a little. And I only have a couple characters that need to have the stencils made. So I'll hide this while I do the erasing for the stencil. I forgot to hold my Control key to make a straight line. You can make a straight line if you hold a Control while you drag, or you can just draw. Okay, so I have that. Now I'm going to select all of this. Now if I join them here with the black on top, you'll see what happens. It all becomes black. No big deal. I'll just change the color on the color palette to the color that I want. Now I've got that done. I can move this into place over here. And now I've got my custom overlay. So I'm going to zoom back out again so you can see the effect of these custom names, and you can do these kind of shapes. Again, I chose a banner, but you could easily choose a rectangle or a special shaped tag to make a place for a picture. You could put names, dates in here. What I put in mine was our new blessing in these. and his name. I put the whole first and last name in here and the date. So I save these pieces blank, and then I can hide these, and I can come back to these pieces and put a different name in the next time. So do we have any questions about making custom overlays, paper cut designs?
No questions on that.
Now Brian told me I had to make an assignment.
For homework.
For homework, and so this heart is available if you want to try the same thing I did. It's available at the MTC Toots in the shared MTC files folder. So you can borrow my shape to do your own design, or you can do something similar to this. But you could use just any kind of paper lace designs that you would like to use. Let's see if I have any in here. I'll go to my folder here. I did some overlays. You can find all kinds of overlays on the internet. Found that one. And again, you can weld any shapes. So you could weld banners, rectangles, circles. You could weld most anything to those. Let's see, what else did I get? This was that one that I showed you, the Carrier Heart. You can do tracing and make the cut to get these to come right in. This one comes in with, you see, you can put a heart in and add a greeting, happy anniversary, the names, the dates, where the wedding was. So I challenge you to go ahead and find an overlay. Sometimes they're called overlays, sometimes they're called paper lace. There was a number of years ago, the scrapbook stores were selling papers that were cut. Maybe they still do. I haven't been to a scrapbook store in a long time. So you can go online and get pictures of those and pixel trace them in. And then you could make them your own by adding shapes, welding the shapes, and then adding names or text. So that's your assignment. Make an overlay, a custom overlay with your favorite name, your favorite shapes.